folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Hey folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania. And to my side here, I have Jacques Burger, a Namibian legend, a legend in rugby. I'll tell you what, if this guy hits you, you won't forget it. Jacques, hoe gaan dit?
Baie goed, baie dankie Chris. And thanks very much, man. Good to have a chat with you.
Absolutely. You might recognize this rugby jersey I'm wearing. You see this one?
Yeah. Yeah, looks good.
I
love it.
I'll tell you, it wasn't easy to get. I saw
Where'd
this.
you get it from?
Well, I ordered from a British company after the World Cup because I was in London and I was out at in the East End where the Olympic Stadium is, and I saw people at a game because Namibia played New Zealand there. I think it was New Zealand that game, yeah. And I saw a bunch of Namibia fans with this jersey. I'm like, where'd you get that from? That's awesome. And they didn't have an answer for me. So after the World Cup, I did a search a couple months afterwards, and somebody had it in stock, and I ordered it, and so I got it. Now for my Velvich's jersey from the 2019 World Cup, that jersey, I was at Toyota City when they played the Springboks, and I was outside. They had a big truck there selling them, and I stood in line for 48 minutes to get my Namibia jersey.
Worth it, mate. Worth it.
Oh, it was worth it, absolutely. So, listen, before we get into this, I'm going to have to apologize here real quick because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but so I was in 2015 at the game where Jean de Villiers got injured against Samoa, and that ended his international career. I was also at your game against Georgia, that same World Cup, which you were injured, and I think that ended your international career, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, man. I didn't know you like the Grim Reaper of rugby. You should never pitch up to games anymore, I reckon. So, no, man. It was I was planning to end the next game anyways to finish my career the following game, but you just came a game earlier, so you stopped it for me there. So thank you.
Nah, just kidding. Look, I've also been to games. I was at that Namibia game in 2019 where Skalk Brits played. That wasn't his last international game. I didn't end his career. But seriously,
it's not your fault.
Seriously though, no. But seriously, let me. You know, the 2019 World Cup, we'll get to your career and we'll talk about what you're up to these days, but the 2019 World Cup was disappointing for me, not from a World Cup. It was incredible. I know you didn't play in that one, but I imagine you watched it. I don't even know if you went, but for me, rooting for Namibia, I was confident that they were going to beat Canada and to get that first World Cup win. I could taste that victory, and that damn typhoon came and ruined it, and they didn't get to play the game. Instead, they're out there sweeping up mud and help people recover, which was nice. They did that, but I really had high hopes for that game. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that 2019? Did you think that was going to be the case as well?
Yeah. I mean, it was a great build-up with Phil Davies joining us, I think, in 2015 or just before. He did such an incredible job just to keep build on that squad, and it was getting better and better. I think 2015 we came very close to beating Georgia. I think the game we played Georgia, I was convinced that this was the day that we're going to beat them, and 9 minutes in I was fast asleep. So it was definitely. I thought 2019 as well. I did some TV work for SuperSport, and I was in South Africa, and I was very excited for the Canada game because I just felt like the build-up to that game was, everything felt right. I think we were playing some really good rugby. That first half we played against the All Blacks, I think it's some of the best rugby I've ever seen a Namibian rugby team play. So the whole build-up really got me really excited for that Canada game. And then, the morning I got to the studio and they said, sorry, mate, the game's off. So I was... very disappointed, obviously, and I wouldn't say it was supposed to be our first win, but I think that was probably our best shot at getting our first victory at the World Cup.
Well, the game that you went out, actually, I think I have a photo or two before you went out of the game. I was sitting at the end of the pitch. I think I got you in one or two photos. I'll have to take a look at that. But that game against Georgia was incredible. I mean, it was 17-16, as I recall, was the final. I mean, that was pretty darn close. And I was so pumped, so excited for Namibia to win that game. But it was a good effort. Georgia's a good side.
Yeah, no, they're a tough side. I think. Well, I think now at the moment they're a bit ahead of us now. The rugby's grown immensely, and they've put in a lot of work and a lot of money, obviously, into developing their rugby, and the young squads are coming through. They're really strong. But yeah, that's something to lose against them with 1 point. I think we obviously went out to try and win the game, and just fell short. I think against Tonga as well. I'm not going to say the referees calls, but there's a couple of instances where something went against us and could have gone for us, and the whole outcome could have changed. But I think it was, like I said, it was a constant build-up to 2019. We kept improving, and I think 2019 was a great time for us to get our first victory. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But hopefully this World Cup coming up.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I do have tickets for, I have to check a game or two for Velvich's. Getting tickets this is the most difficult World Cup to get tickets for. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Of course,
Oh, really?
Look, in the interest of full disclosure, I'm a Springboks fan first, then a Velvich's fan, and an Eagles fan.
Okay. Now, I'll luckily, you're not close by. I would have organized ahead and you.
I think someone else is taking care of that.
The Grim Reaper.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. Taking out international rugby stars. No, but listen, hey, let's go back in time a bit. So, you're from Namibia. Where exactly did you grow up, and how did you get into rugby, and when did you start? I didn't start playing rugby till I was almost 40.
Well, yeah, I'll start a little bit earlier than that. Yeah, I mean, I do understand you guys over there. Rugby's only got to you, well, a bit later. Obviously, us being close to South Africa, we've got that close rugby relationship. So rugby's always been part of the way we grew up. I started playing from the age of 6, 7. I started playing rugby. My dad was a manager at a local rugby club, amateur rugby club, and he used to put out all the shirts, inject all the boys, and strap, and did everything basically to get the boys on the pitch. And I was always there and there around, ball boy on Saturdays, on weekends, and yeah, I just fell in love with the game, and from that time on, just wanted to play it. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to actually to make it my job when I got bigger. So always dreamt of playing rugby. It's it's always been a dream of mine, and like I said, fortunate enough to actually get to do that.
So, I know that we'll talk more about this. You're doing farming now, but are you a city boy? Because I saw that you were born in Windhoek. I mean, is that where you actually grew up, or did you grow up in the countryside?
Yeah. No, well, if you can call Windhoek a city, yes, I'm a city boy.
Yeah, it's a village. It's a village.
Yeah. I mean, compared to what you guys are used to, it's probably not a city. But yeah, I grew up in the city. I don't come from a farming background at all, so. Yeah, but I've always, like I said, again, fortunate enough that I went overseas and I saved up a bit of money so I can come back and buy myself a farm. I think that was for me was a dream growing up as well. As I wanted to have a piece of land where I can do something that I feel is an important work, and that's providing food. I mean, that's I think a lot of farmers. Well, it's the lifestyle, being around your family a lot of the time is also something that appealed to me quite a bit. So it's again, I've been fortunate enough to save up a bit and actually make that dream come true, and didn't realize it was going to be this tough. So it was complete change of lifestyle, and it was tough to adapt to it, and making friends with the weather. Obviously, it's if it doesn't rain, then it changes a lot. And Namibia being a dry country, it's a tough place to farm. But yeah, we're extremely blessed to do what we do.
Well, you should have just reached out to me. I was a dairy farmer when I was in high school, and I can tell you that farming sucks.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. I've heard that dairy farmers. Especially if they said if your father didn't like you at all, he'd leave you a dairy farm. So luckily, I wasn't there.
Yeah, no doubt. So farming you're doing now. What part of the country are you in? You up north? You in the Central Highlands? Whereabouts?
Yeah, no, I'm down south. I'm about 350 kilometers south of Windhoek, so southeast basically. So in the Kalahari. So. the Red Kalahari Dunes, beautiful part of the world. It is a bit drier than we'd like, but it's red sand dunes. It's a beautiful place. I mean, it's once I came here, when I met my wife, she farmed down, or her parents farmed down here in this area. And when I visited when I was still a bit younger, I just fell in love with the area. It's a beautiful part of the world.
No, it absolutely is a stunning place. It's amazing. I've been in Namibia several times, and I've never had a bad experience. The only thing is everything is so far apart.
Awesome.
It's a long way to get from place to place.
It is. Yeah, it is. Now you gotta, if you live in Namibia, you gotta be willing to drive if you want to be somewhere. We used to it now, so nothing's too far for us.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, my first experience with meeting people from Namibia was in the 1980s at Oktoberfest, when I went to the Hofbräuhaus tent.
Yeah.
And there are all these people up there singing in German and standing on the table with this strange looking flag that I recognized from a distance. I walked over and I spoke to them in German, of course, because I speak German, and they were all Südwester, a Southwesterners. Okay. Yeah. So they were ethnic Germans who went to Oktoberfest and had a great time. That was my first time meeting Namibians.
Awesome. Yeah, we still got a pretty big German culture here in Namibia. I think, if I'm correct, we've got 11 different languages. So there's a lot of. I think that's what makes Namibia such a beautiful place. There's so many different languages and different tribes, different people with different backgrounds, and everybody just seems to get along. And we live in peace here, and it's. We've got great beer, obviously, which makes it good. We've got great weather. So, it's a place to be.
Well, I'm a bit of a beer snob. I only drink beer brewed by the German Reinheitsgebot, and so it's Windhoek Lager or nothing for me. It's Windhoek Lager or nothing.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah. No, so, my experiences in Namibia, and you talk about it, it's much like South Africa in many respects, all these different ethnic groups, different languages. Yeah. The first time I was in Windhoek, the most interesting thing for me is I sat down in this cafe during the afternoon to get something to drink, just relax, and I heard Portuguese, German, Afrikaans, English, Damara, and then some Bushman languages, which I wasn't familiar with. I could tell the people speaking, obviously, they weren't colored, they were Bushmen. Yeah. It's very, Windhoek for such a small town is a very cosmopolitan kind of place.
Yeah, no, it is. It's it's a strange place. Once you've been here, like you said, you've experienced. There's so many different people. I think the big thing about Namibia that makes it so cool is that we're not a lot of people. So with lots of people, there comes a lot of problems. So we get on well. We have to get on well because we have to look after each other. Like everything's far apart. You have to know somebody somewhere if you want to do business, if you want to help each other out. Kind of just accepting what people we've got a rich history. And just to kind of get along with each other. I think it's already the way the world's going at the moment, just to be in a country where we can all just get along, and we've got that South African background, but also a German, but also the African roots is deep. There's a lot of great tradition in this country, and it's a lovely place to grow up, and sunny skies. We've got wide open spaces, friendly faces. It's what's not to like.
You sound like you work for the Namibian Tourist Bureau.
Yeah, man, I am. I should get some money for this.
Exactly. Well, it's the other thing people don't know about Namibia too is that it has the world's, in Botswana they say Basawa, that's the Setswana word, but Namibia has the largest Bushman population in the world, bigger than Botswana, much bigger than Botswana, and bigger than South Africa, which is much smaller. But those folks are very fascinating people, and that's something that certainly is a draw for people to come to Namibia. But the natural beauty is amazing between the Namib Desert. You go up north to the Etosha Pans. You've got the canyons down south. It's an amazing country. But let me ask you this question: why did you wind up in the southeast? What are the driest parts of the country? Is that where the land was available, or is that you had some tie there, or what?
I asked myself that many times. No, like I said, I met my wife when we were still dating. I came down to this part of the area, and so like I said, from then on, I was thought geez, I'd love to live here. Actually, it's just the calm and yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I mean, that was always the dream, and I always wanted to come back to Namibia. Being in the UK for a long time, I had a great time in the UK, and well, lots of people feels like my second home there, but always missed home, always missed Namibia. So obviously, when I had the opportunity to buy a farm down south, close to where my wife's family lives, yeah, obviously that was something that's really appealing to me, and got the opportunity, and we moved over here.
Now, is your wife from the UK, or is she a Namibian? Is she an Afrikaner? Is she a Damara? Is she a German?
No, she's an Afrikaans meisie. I met her when I think I was 21, and I was working in Windhoek in a consumable wholesaler, selling printers and cartridges and stuff like that. And I was the external sales rep, and she was the internal sales rep. And then, the next thing led to the next thing, and then we got married.
Well, there you have it. No, I was just curious because, I've told people this story many times that I find interesting about the German and Afrikaans cultures that, you probably know this place. I can't think of the name, but there was a restaurant right there in the center of Windhoek. It was kind of an open space around it, and it was a real popular spot with Germans and Afrikaners that went there. And I go there and I eat every time I'm in Windhoek. Fantastic food, like a steakhouse or something like that. And I listen to Germans. I talk to
Beerhouse, maybe.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I think that might be it. Yeah, so I go there and I speak German fluently, so I talk to the Germans and I understand Afrikaans and I can get by with some phrases, although I understand a lot more than the people realize. But anyway, but the point is that I'd hear the Germans would look down their nose at those dumb farmers, the Afrikaners, and then the Afrikaners you look down their nose at those snooty Germans, and then their daughters and sons would marry each other and mix the families up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is like that. I think we all we kind of just joke around about how different we are, and I mean, I've got German friends as well, so it's we'll always make fun of them, and they'll probably make a lot of fun of us as well. So we are different in a lot of ways, but yeah, that's what makes it cool. I mean, we can all get along and still have a laugh about it, and the world's a sensitive place at the moment. It's tough to make a joke without offending anybody, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, comedy has died. All the comedians can't say anything anymore because people get offended so easily. Yeah. No, it's just, I always found it funny because the Afrikaners and the Germans do that, and then they all hang out together. They marry each other.
Yeah.
So, let me look at your name. So, I mean, you've got, obviously, I'm going to guess, maybe you do, but you can see a French influence there because the Huguenots who came to South Africa, the Jacques, I'm assuming maybe that family has an origin for that, why they chose that name for you. But Burger is a German name. I mean, so, and the Germans are a big component of the Afrikaans community. So looking at your name, it's almost like it's a mix of Huguenot and German, and you're an Afrikaner.
Yeah. I mean, I've got some German blood and I've got some Afrikaans blood. So it's like you said, there's they do like to mix. So that's what happened. In my family, my grandmother was German, and my grandpa was Afrikaans.
Well, there you go. See, that's how it happens. It's pretty interesting stuff. Hey, let's shift a little bit to rugby there. We can come back to that. I just was curious if you married a Boermeisie, so I guess we figured that out. So.
yeah, I did.
There you go. But, someone, before I get to this next question, someone mentioned earlier talking about, artists from Namibia. Of course, Juanita Du Plessis and her kids, Rowan Josh and Franja Du Plessis, Rihanna Nell. You've got Rihanna Nell. You've got all these musicians come from there. I think Elvis Sablu is also from Namibia, if I'm not mistaken, or yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's, but he could be. He could be.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Yeah, no, but anyway, no. But I mean, there are a lot of musicians, Afrikaans musicians, who seem to come out of Namibia. I don't know if that's because I mean, after they're done milking the cows, there's nothing to do but play music. I mean, that's what it is. Sing
while milking cows. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, let's get to the rugby stuff. Yeah. All right, so you're one of those guys that's one of those legends from Saracens. You got I think 100 caps under your belt, 100 appearances with Saracens. And I interviewed one of your teammates yesterday, Skalk Brits, and you also played there with Skalk Burger. That had to be an interesting experience.
Yeah. I mean, Jacques Burger just joined when I left. I think the year after I left, Jacques Burger joined. But I played a lot of games with Jacques Brits and unbelievable rugby players, both of them actually. When I grew up, when I was a bit younger, obviously Jacques Burger came on the scene a lot earlier than I did, and he was definitely one of the guys that I looked up to. Although I think we are actually the same age. He was a guy because he came on the stage so early, and he was such a massive superstar. So early on, so he was somebody that I definitely looked up to and wanted to play like. And Schalk Brett's playing with him. I mean, what a player! What a player! It's the amount of skill that guy possesses annoys me actually.
That's fair. We had a good time yesterday in our conversation talking about things. He's got
a good man.
A lot of caps with the Saracens. I think 226 he got. Man, a lot of tests.
Yeah,
a lot of games.
Yeah.
So what was your break? Was it the Griquas? Is that how you got into professional rugby? Is that how you first made your leap there?
Look, I started off. I played junior rugby a bit with the Cheetahs in Bloemfontein when I just left school, and then came back to Namibia. Started working. That's where I met my wife, and then stopped playing rugby completely for a while, and was just busy with my work and stuff like that. And then after a year or what, I decided, listen, let's have a crack again. I miss playing. And I started playing again, and then played for Namibia first off. Got selected for the national team, and then had the opportunity to go to the Griquas about a year and a half later. And played 3 years, played over there, and went to France for a bit, and then went to the Bulls for a bit, and then went to the Saracens where I finished my career. So I think my probably started off playing for Namibia. That's where I probably got my first gap, or where I got myself in the window basically. And then when I went out to the Griquas, wasn't a highly paid job back then. Only had a couple of bucks a month to just kind of get me along, and then but for me at that time, I was just like I said, my dream was rugby. I was rugby, and I was working extremely hard to try and get somewhere. And again, I was fortunate enough. I think there's millions and millions of really good players who don't make it, who work really hard, and they still don't get the opportunity to play. So I was fortunate.
Well, let me just take an administrative break here and just talk to my audience really quickly. Someone came in. I presume that this is person actually watching legitimately and not a troll, but going by Azrael, said, "Am I in the right place? I'm in the right place. I was told this is a news site for South Africa. It is, but we interview people from all over the world. I start my news day. Give me a second here, Jacques, just to digress. I do news 7 days a week, and I start with South Africa and then work around Southern Africa, usually in this order: South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and then anything else in Southern Africa might be of interest. Work around the continent, giving news, covering events that people usually don't cover, and also exposing the media. I'll take news sites, I'll bring up a story, and I'll read to you what the news is, and then explain that is actually opinion, not news, disguised as news. And then I go from there to hotspots around the world, things that people don't know about that I think will be breaking in the future, and usually I'm right on most of those things. And then eventually work my way back to the U.S., and I wrap up with U.S. news here, and that's a daily news program. So, Azrael, you are in the right place if someone said you should come here, so thank you. Please, obviously you became a subscriber so you could chat, because we only let subscribers chat, so thank you for that. Anyway, you're listening, folks, to Chris Wyatt Reports with my special guest today, Jacques Burger, a Namibian rugby legend, a Saracens Hall of Famer too, are you not, Jacques?
Well, I don't think I'm in the Hall of Fame. I've not been notified if I am. I think I played about 117 games for Saracens. I mean, what an experience. I think that was where I really found my, I would say, rugby home. The club looked after me incredibly well. Went through some dark times with lots of injuries, and the way they looked after me when the chips were down is what made me love the club and made me want to work that hard to be there. So what a great place to play rugby, and family values, and I mean the way they looked after me again, just wanted me to repay them. So I had a great time over there.
No, it's absolutely brilliant. And Saracens, of course, the standard for rugby excellence for so
Yeah.
long. It's unfortunate. You don't have to comment on this, but unfortunate a couple of years ago how they were sanctioned. I was very angry about that.
Yeah.
I was not a big fan
Yeah.
of Saracens, but the way that was handled, I thought was very, very, very poor. But I mean, it was. I respected a quality side that always brought it. Now, speaking of someone that always brought it, people are looking like, wait, that's not Jacques Burger. Where's the curly hair at, man? This is bait and switch. That's not him. I mean, the image we have of you on the pitch is that curly hair, wet from being out there working at hard work rate, and usually blood pouring from somewhere on your face.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, it was kind of like my trademark, really, bleeding and long hair. I mean, that was my skill. I think I spoke to when I started playing at Saracens. I spoke to our defensive coach. His name was Paul Gustard, and I was like, yes. Guzzy, I don't know, man. I don't know what skills I possess that I can bring to the table. And he says, listen, mate, what you do out there on the pitch and the way you throw yourself about is a skill already. So I mean, it was all or nothing. Going out on the pitch, really had fun, just playing around. And I mean, I came back to Namibia, and 3 months. I think I had my long hair for about 3 months. And being a farmer, 40 degrees, flies around your head. Then you've got your hat on, and then after a while, your hat's falling off, and it's it was annoying the hell out of me. So I decided, listen, let's call it a day and cut the hair off.
Well, I can see that. Yeah, it's now my hair has always traditionally been short because I spent 36 years in the Army, so I actually look like a hippie right now.
Okay, yeah, I can see you decided you're gonna sell the Army to FU, man. I'm back.
Yeah, no, actually, it's time for a haircut. I need to get my haircut. It's a little bit longer than I like it, but the beard. That's a lot of people always comment on that. The beard, of course, you can't have facial hair in the Army, just a mustache at most.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a beard obviously until I left the Army, and I let it grow as a response to lockdown. I said, when the stupidity ends, I'll cut the beard. It's my quiet civic protest. Well, it was down to my navel by Christmas this past year. And so,
really?
After Christmas,
Jeez.
I'm like, they'd ease some of the lockdown restrictions around the world. So I said, okay. So I trimmed it back to about here in, let's see, right about there in December. And so it's grown that much in the past 6 months. But yeah, anyway, so that's why I have the beard.
Looks good. Looks good. I like it.
Well, thank you very much. When I show up at OR Tambo, they always think that I'm with the Boer Commando. So anyway, yikes. So how is the farming going? You kind of alluded to a couple of points. I mean, dry. It's a challenge. You mentioned flies, but I mean, I assume you're doing ranching. Is that a fair assumption? You're not doing crop growth there, are you? What kind of farming are you into?
No, I'm a sheep farmer. Started off cattle and sheep, and then the year I started farming, 2016, we went through one of the worst droughts we've had in a long time. So had a really, really tough couple of years, and we lost a lot. We learned a lot, obviously, which I mean is not a bad thing always. But yeah, it is a tough area to farm. Like I said, it doesn't rain a lot, but it was a really, really tough couple of years. Last year again, we didn't have great rain. So yeah, I mean, I think the frustrating thing about farming is the uncontrollables, the things that you don't have any control over. You can work as hard as you like, and you can plan, but if it doesn't rain, it doesn't rain. There's just absolutely nothing. It's a lot of times it feels like gambling. I mean, it's tough, but it's at the same time, when you look back and I see the time that I spend with my family and my kids and being out here in nature, I mean, I'm extremely blessed in that sense. I think the lifestyle is something that you can't put value on at all. It's something that it's worth a lot more than you actually get in your pocket for working. So I think there's a lot of people who would pay a lot of money to have our lifestyle. I think if somebody comes around and see what we do every day just where we are and how beautiful it is around you, I think people would say, yeah, you're extremely blessed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a different lifestyle. I mean, look, I find Namibia fascinating. I really enjoy going there. I'm not sure if I'd want to get back to farming though. That's a tough thing. You really, it's
yeah,
a rough
man, it's
one.
been tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been tough. I'm going to be honest with you. Listen, there's a lot of times where I thought, just is this the right place for me to be? And then, I mean, it's like I said, it builds character. I think that's the thing. Again, you think once you're done with rugby, then the tough times are over. Now it's just then you just get back to normal life. I think especially that first couple of years after you stop playing rugby is already tough in a sense that you're not playing rugby anymore. It's you've kind of lost your identity in a way, and then you've got a whole new project, a whole new job, but you've got to provide. I mean, you've got a family, you've got to look after. So you put your head down and you grind, and then there's setbacks like there is in sport as well. So I mean, it's life, man. It's you have to have setbacks. It does happen. You have to go through tough times to kind of build that character, and it's the same with rugby as well. I mean, the injuries and the losses and all those things, it makes you a better person. And so yeah, I've learned a lot. I've pulled out my hair, like you said, a lot of times where I decided, geez, what am I doing with my life over here? And then just kind of pick it up. And when you go through those lows, and then you just decide, listen, I'm not going to be put down by this. You just gotta crack on and do the best you can.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the bottom line. And that's, you know, in America, we had in the 1930s, unfortunately, during the Depression, we had this whole massive drought in the Midwestern states, and it was the Dust Bowl, and a few 100,000 people completely relocated. Farms were desiccated. People moved to California in large numbers as a consequence of that. It was just really tough times.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate where you're coming from there. And
yeah, man, it's tough.
And look, I mean, I'll tell you what, sheep aren't my favorite livestock, but I'll take them over goats any day.
Yeah. I mean, it's we do have the best meat in the world. Definitely, sheep. Love sheep. I mean, we do eat a lot of red meat. I mean, it's free range stuff, so we're not allowed to put any hormones or anything strange into our animals. So it's just free range animals out in the wide open freedom. So I mean, it's I mean, I think that's part of the appeal of the job. Yes, it's food in a way, but it's animals. You know, it's something that you really care about, and it's I think that's what makes the drought and the tough times tough as well, is because you're actually looking after animals, and then to see them go through tough times is tough. It's tough for yourself as well. So I mean, it's a big responsibility.
Well, you know, I had to resist the urge there. You mentioned something, and it made me think of New Zealand, Australia. You're talking about putting things in sheep, and I'll leave it at that. So,
yeah, I mean, it does get lonely sometimes.
All right, that took a sideways turn. Let's get back to that. No, but so listen. Speaking of sheep, the Germans had brought this this huge industry that was famous and very profitable for Namibia for a long time, and that was a caracal sheep with those pelts.
Yeah.
That was huge, but that's kind of gone now. That's no longer a business, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. I think that was a very, very harsh business, that, because they slaughter the lambs when they're like really small. So it's I think that was I'm lucky I wasn't part of that part, but there was big money back in the day in those times. But I don't think there's any caracal farmers, that still uses the skin or the fur,
the pelts.
So it's something. Yeah, the pelts. I mean, so it's something that's kind of phased out. I think more people are just going to go into meat, basically.
Yeah. Hey, folks, you're listening to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania with my guest today, Jacques Burger, flanker, Namibian rugby star, legend, dare we say. I'll say legend, and also a Saracens legend at that. A guy known for leaving it all on the pitch. That's for darn sure. Known for his curly locks and his bloody nose, which oftentimes looked a bit bent and straight. Looks like you might have seen somebody got that nose straightened out since then, Jacques.
It's still pretty. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, okay, yeah. From the side, you can see
it's
it.
Still good. Still good.
You still got that very clear identifying profile image there.
I still got it. It's tough. I tell you, it's tough to keep the ladies off me. So it's this nose. It's the nose.
Speaking of keeping the ladies off you, listen, I want to know what it's like for you because, I mean, I know who you are. I would recognize you with your hair. You know, I mean, I'd probably recognize you like this, but I might have to look a second time. If you turn sideways, I'd definitely recognize you. But you know, I was in Linwood in Pretoria last was it recent or the August trip? I think it was August last year. It was August last year. And one of my viewers contacted Victor Matfield, whom I'd interviewed previously, and said, hey, can you link up with Chris for a coffee? So we met. And, of course, it's a busy cafe, lots of people there. And it's Victor Matfield. I mean, I'm tall. I'm the same height as you. I'm 6'2". But I mean, he made me look like a dwarf standing next to him because he's so tall. But he comes up, and I can't get a word in edgewise because everybody recognizes Victor Matfield. They're all coming over. So I don't know. Maybe in London you might have gotten recognized, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, so I don't think you get this experience often. But what's it like for you? Do you get recognized when you go places? People like, hey, Jacques Burger, and they come over, want to shake your hand, or maybe an autograph. Does that happen?
You know what? I think Namibia is a lot different in that sense. There's not a lot of celebrities in Namibia, so I think that because we're not a lot of people, everybody kind of knows me, or I know them on a way, or their brothers, or their families, or we went to school with them cousins, or it's so everybody kind of knows everybody, and obviously. Me being on the farm, so I don't see a lot of people at the moment. So when I do go in the city, there's a lot of still youngsters who still recognize me as a rugby player. But I mean, it's like I said, there's no real celebrities in Namibia, so it's kind of like everybody would probably just say like, and listen, okay, hey, there's Jacques or there's whoever. So it's not a real. I think in South Africa it's a lot different. There's loads of people, and the Springboks obviously have a huge following there. So it's and a guy like Victor obviously stands out. He's like you said, he's like a tree. So a lot of people who wants to give him some love. So no, I mean it's not really something that it phases me too much, anyways. So it's just gonna be it's better to be somebody's friend or somebody's. Brother's friend or cousin's mate or whatever than being somebody that people assumes are a star or a legend, whatever.
Well, celebrity's not all it's cracked up to be. That's for darn sure. So that's probably probably nice to be out there away from that for a bit. But yeah, and I'm sure,
but definitely.
Yeah, Victor can't get away from that, you know. He's recognized everywhere he goes. I mean, if for no other reason, like you and I both said, the guy's like an oak tree. He's like huge. He gets your attention that way. Yeah. So you know the one of the things that's happened in the past few years, and I'll tell you this. Obviously, I don't have any influence, but when Major League Rugby started. That was around the time that you hung up your cleats. And I suggested to the owner of the Rugby United New York team that he reach out to you to see if he could draw you back into playing rugby and come to the U.S. for a season or two. I suspect he never did. Just to show you how little influence I had.
No, I didn't. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to anyways. The last year of me playing, I was literally broken. I was just hanging on. Injury-wise, I was frustrated because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I mean, rugby-wise on the pitch, my body was just wasn't in a great place. So I think I would have loved to play there. Actually, I really enjoy what's going on there, and I would love to. Obviously, the big thing about rugby is the experiences, the life experiences, and I would love to have taken my family over and just to kind of see what it's like over there and play a bit of rugby and grow the game there. I'm still got a massive passion for coaching. I still coach a bit at the local school here. So I would definitely not say never, but you never know. You never know. Might pop over someday and see what it's like.
Well, you know, it's actually working out well for some of the Velviches now. I mean, Vian Conradi is playing for New England, and they won the Major League Rugby Shield. They won the title.
Yeah, I've been watching a bit. Obviously, we don't get a lot of it, but I've been watching a bit of highlights and a lot of things that Vian is involved in, and he's. I mean, obviously, he's extremely talented, and I knew he would do something special over there. So it's great to see the boys winning cups and the experience they're picking up there. I think that's the main thing is the memories you make because once it's done, it does go quickly. It does go quickly, but the memories and the cups you win and the big cups you lose and the great times you spend with the boys are the special times. So I'm great to see the Namibian boys doing well there. It'd be great to see a lot more Namibian boys going over and getting that experience and that exposure, obviously, playing with some really good players and obviously the American League growing. So it's great to see the boys doing well.
No, absolutely. It's nice to see too, because I mean, I when I go to these teams, because I've covered Major League Rugby, I've gone to New York, DC, Atlanta. I flew there several times. I've gone to Dallas, Houston, and then this season I went to Chicago as well to cover the stuff. And I always look for the South African players, of course, because I have a huge South African audience, and I interview them. But I also look for the Namibians, and I've interviewed a number of Namibians playing in Dallas and playing elsewhere. It's always a great pleasure to see these guys come from such a small, not physically, it's a huge country, but a small place, and make it on the international stage and get a chance to experience the world and something other than Swakopmund,
No, it's amazing. I'm extremely happy for the boys.
So let me ask you this question. Is there a game in your career that stands out that you're like, oh, that was the game? Is there one game, no matter what you play, whether it's for the Bulls, the Griquas, or Saracens, or for Namibia, a game that stands out, you'll never forget that game, is just in a game that you just enjoyed or was awesome?
Yeah, I think I kind of just, like, my career just didn't really take off when I was a bit younger. When I played the Griquas, I did well. Just kind of never felt like home. And then I went to France, had a great experience there, but just like didn't really find my feet there. My dream gig was playing for the Bulls. And then I actually had the opportunity to go to the Bulls. And again, didn't get a lot of game time. There were a lot of guys that they were settled in their ways. They've had this squad for a long time. So I was just kind of not breaking through, not getting opportunities playing in the big games, in the finals, and those types of games. And then when I went to Saracens, obviously, like I said earlier, it was everything just kind of opened up. I'm extremely grateful for the process. I think I've learned so much. I don't think I was ready for that big break until I went to Saracens, and then that's kind of just a process, working hard with every club and every province you play for. And then when I got to Saracens, that first year was unbelievable. So it was we won a lot of games. Came in the final Premiership final, and then in the last, I think, 4 minutes, we lost against Leicester Tigers. And then the following year, I think the 2010-11 or the 11-12, we played Leicester in the final again, and that was the best game that I've ever been involved in. Not rugby wise. I think just the experience, winning the Premiership for the first time in the club's history, and defending, I think we were four points up, and there was 10 minutes. We defended for 10 minutes after the Hooters gone, the times in the red. So we just kind of defended in our 22 for, I think, 10 minutes or 11 minutes, and just that feeling of pride and achievement. From all the hard work you've put in, and on the day itself, the effort it took to get that first victory. And after the disappointments of the previous year was probably my best game ever. I enjoyed just that feeling of lifting that trophy and feeling like, listen, it's I finally achieved something. Although obviously playing for your country, every time playing for your country is special. So, but that winning a cup there was that first big major trophy for me was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that's going to be an incredible experience. I've had sports success, but not professionally, just amateur stuff, and it really is a great feeling, especially as a team.
It's all good, isn't it? It's all good. It's just that if it's amateur or pro, it doesn't really make a difference. It's just that kind of that hard work you put in, the disappointments you go through, and just that when it all comes together and you win and the season's over, and then it's just it's special. Well,
it's for like. The athletics for running, Carl Lewis and Usain Bolt and that sort of thing. That's individual performance, and that's very rewarding. But I think there's something special about being part of a team, whatever the sport is, and a team coming together to win.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's family. Especially in rugby, which is such a tough sport. You got to be all in, and you have to trust each other. I think if you go out on the pitch and and you feel look to a guy on your left, and you know he's not going to give his 100%, then you've got your doubts yourself. You know, rugby is a tough sport, and you need big efforts from a lot of brave men and women to get out there and do an incredible job on the pitch. So if it kind of makes it, I think, a bit more special, I would say, having as a team sport, because it's such a tough game, physical game, where you got to take big hits and you got to dish it out and you got to be tough and you got to grind it out. So the reward afterwards, the beer tastes a lot better than it does when you're doing individual sports. That's for sure.
Well, I would say that the beer tastes a lot better if you're drinking Windhoek Lager, Weiss Kassel Lager.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people, I don't think, realize this about the Namibia Rugby Union, but Namibia, the Welwitsch's, are one of those teams that actually has a winning record in test matches. I mean, they've won about 2/3, 60% of their games, whereas a lot of teams aren't even close to that. Now, they've had some tough things. They've only played South Africa a few times, lost there. But part of that, I guess, is because Namibia over the decades has owned Zimbabwe. The Sables have had a hard time defeating the Welwitsch's. It just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously, like we said, that rugby background, we have that connection with South Africa. Obviously, the Southwest rugby was extremely good back in the day. A lot of good rugby players. I actually went to Zimbabwe earlier this year, and I'm very impressed with what they're doing with their rugby at the moment. Looks like they're getting better. Their structures are getting better. They're becoming a bit more competitive. So it's good to see the African countries grow. But Namibia has always been back in the past when I grew up watching rugby, it's always been a big achievement playing for the Namibian team, and it's always been like that. And they've put up some great performances back in the day. They played in the Currie Cup, and they've done really, really well playing in the Currie Cup itself. So that connection kind of just grew Namibian rugby along the years. And there's a lot of good African teams that's coming through. That's breathing down our necks. So we better pick up our pace, because there's a lot of teams that's really improving.
So let me ask you this question, Jacques. Do you have any ties still to the Welwitsch's? I mean, or do you work with them at all? Did anyone ever reach out to you, or are you just a fan at this point?
I'm probably just a fan at this point. I'm not involved at the moment. They've got a good squad. They've got good boys. I would definitely love to be involved at some time in my life. When I came back, there was a lot of differences in what my views and what my plans are for the Namibian rugby in the future, and what I wanted to see them achieve and do. And there was a lot of different views, I think, at that time, with the people who were involved with Namibian rugby at that time. So it's kind of just for me at the moment, I'm just kind of supporting from the outside, and I'm focusing on developing at the moment in the local area. I've got a school that I coach here, and hopefully it can grow into something big. And I want to definitely stay involved in rugby. My heart's still very much in the game. I do enjoy watching it, and being involved in watching the technical aspects of what the game brings is something that really still triggers me. So I'm not involved at the moment. Hopefully in the future sometime we can. I think that when Phil Davies was with us, his main plan was to get the Namibian boys involved when he leaves. When he leaves, he wanted the Namibian boys who he played under him and went through that system and had everything in plan. He wanted them to take over and kind of went forward or go forward with that team or with that squad, the experienced boys. So there are a couple of boys who are currently involved. World Cup times, they all get shoved to the side. Then they bring in new coaches from South Africa or from abroad to take the boys to the World Cup, and unfortunately the boys lose out in the big trips.
Yeah, no. In fact, it's not just Namibia. I mean, Namibia has Alistair Coetzee, former Springboks and former Stormers and Western Province coach.
Yeah.
And then Zimbabwe, I think he's still there. Peter De Villiers was the former Springbok coach. I think he's with Zimbabwe now. So that's yeah. So the homegrown talent kind of gets pushed aside there to bring in those bigger names, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I love the Velviches and I wish them well. But I mean, they are not in an easy pool. I mean, New Zealand and France. I mean, that's tough. And then you've got Italy and Uruguay. Uruguay is nothing to sneeze at. They gave the Eagles a hiding. They absolutely did in Montevideo. And they looked good that last time. They won that big game in the 2019 to Uruguay. And then you've got Italy. Italy, I think, is the sick man of Europe. So maybe there's a chance there for the Velviches to take them down. We'll see. But what do you think of their chances? I mean, it's a tough pull.
It's a very tough pull. It's a very tough pull. Obviously, the All Blacks, France, incredible. They're both playing great rugby at the moment, and France being at home, it's going to be so tough against those two teams, and keeping the morale up after possibly you're going to take a bit of hiding possibly. So getting that morale up and being ready for those other games, and then Italy. I think Italy will be extremely proud and happy with what they've done during this year's Six Nations, or they've done pretty well. I would say they would feel pretty happy with how things have gone. Yes, they've lost a lot of games, but there were signs of them being really dangerous at times and doing some good stuff. And then Uruguay. I mean, South American teams are tough, man. They're tough. They get stuck in. They're not afraid. They can play ball. They're extremely good at close contact. Breakdown skills are really good. They don't back down for anybody. So, listen, it's going to be really tough. If you think you're going to target Uruguay, will probably be our not easiest, but our most realistic chance of getting our first victory, and that's definitely not going to be easy. So we're gonna have to really, really lift our game.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that is tough. That's it's water under the bridge. There's nothing you can do about it. But it's a shame about Typhoon Hagibis because I had penciled in that first Namibian win against Canada. It was in a small venue,
so did I.
In a rugby mad town where people were really great fans because I got up there for a game and I was like, and then that darn, that thing affected me too. I was going from Shizuoka. I had to get on the train with my bags. I took the train the whole time, so I'm dragging 2 suitcases. And everybody's trying to escape the typhoon. So, I mean, it was like standing room only. It wasn't even that. People literally standing on top of each other in the train for like an hour and I went to not to Kobe, to Kyoto, and got off there and just the rain coming down in sheets. And anyway, it was kind of messed up. I had 18 tickets of the 40 pool stage games, but I only got 17 games because the Italy All Blacks game was the one in Toyota City that got canceled that I couldn't go to. So it wasn't just the Namibia game, but anyway, water under the bridge. But hey, that's how it is. So are you
lots of water under the bridge?
Are you gonna go to France, or is that something you're able to do? Or are you too busy, farming?
No, I'm going very possibly going down for the final. But I'll be going there for the World Rugby Awards. So I'm on the panel there for selecting the Player of the Year, Team of the Year with the boys, so and the girls. And so hopefully I'll be there for the World Cup final.
Well, that's awesome. That'd be great.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I never stay for those games. I only go for the pool stage. And people always say, why do you go to the pool stage? And I'm like, well, because there's games during the week. You can catch a lot more games in a shorter period of time when you're traveling. Yeah. And also, when do I get to see Georgia and Namibia and Chile and Portugal play?
Exactly.
And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of the smaller nations, rugby nations, I think I'm always surprised about the quality of the rugby they play during the World Cup. It's like everybody's. I think with Namibia as well. I think a lot of people would see them and say, "Geez, these boys can actually play some rugby." We never would have thought actually these guys being any good. So I think Chile as well. I mean, special to see them around and what they can do. I mean, I'm really excited to see what the smaller nations, Uruguay, like you said earlier. Romania, those boys, all of them, see how they go in the World Cup is going to be special.
Well, we can't look at Japan anymore as an outsider or a small minnow. I mean, they've woke the world up. I mean, they were undefeated. They beat Ireland and Scotland in 2019, and of course they beat the Springboks back in 2015. They finished 3-1.
Yeah.
So in their last 8 Rugby World Cup games, not the quarterfinals, but the regular pool games, they are 7-1 in the last 8 games. Pretty impressive. Yeah. So. Yeah,
they're good. They're good. I mean, it was bound to happen. The way the way the Japanese culture and the way the people are, they just the way they work hard and their respect and their honesty and all of that. I mean, it was bound to be a good rugby nation if the right amount of money and the right amount and the right people went there, and that's what happened. I mean, their discipline and everything is just going to put them on the map, and they when they get going, they're tough to stop.
Absolutely. I saw that Leach got a red card this weekend. I didn't see what it was for. It apparently got on a tackle. But
really? Yeah. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he'll probably be out for a couple games, I imagine, but he'll be back for the World Cup, which should be good. It's going to be interesting to see how Japan does, though, because the COVID really messed up a number of rugby unions. I'm not sure what impact it had on the Velviches, but it was devastating to the Eagles. It really messed up the sink that Gary Gold had in place there. And then the same.
Shame, man.
Yeah, same with Japan. They've been very uneven since the lockdown, which is a shame because they were really cresting in 2019. They could have kept going. Hopefully they'll get it back. It's good to see teams perform well. But anyway, so what's next? Keep sheep farming, broadcasting. Is that something that you mentioned? You did a little bit of super sports stuff. Is it all on the table?
I'm very, very excited to get back into rugby in a big way. I mean, I'm at the moment. I enjoy farming. I don't want to leave my farm. I don't want to stop farming, but I'd still like to be involved in rugby. So how that happens and how that plays out, I want to grow as a coach and my rugby knowledge. I think we can always, with the game evolving the way it is, I mean, you can always learn. You can always be a better coach, and so many new things happening. So I do want to get all my coaching levels and just evolve a bit, as a coach myself, and if it's only for my own knowledge and my own love for the game, it's good. I mean, so I do dream of still being involved with the rugby one day. So I mean, the world's a strange place. It changes a lot. So it's at the moment my passion is and my heart has to go into my work, my job, which is farming. Got to look after my family, and then obviously it's my heart to see, and I really, really love being here. But and the other side of it, there's rugby as well, which I constantly think about, and I always want to be involved with that. So I'm definitely gonna not close off any opportunities if it comes my way. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, at the moment I've got 2 beautiful kids. They're healthy and they're doing well at school, and it's I spend a lot of time with them, so I'm extremely blessed. And it's the lifestyle, like I said earlier on, it's unreal. So well, you never know. Let's see.
Well, you were in London for such a long time. I am curious about this. Do people often tell you that Jason Statham looks a lot like you?
No, they don't. I don't know why. They probably haven't seen me up close.
And you actually almost have like one of those English accents, not a Namibian accent. I saw you. You were in that movie, The Transporter. I remember you.
Yeah. No, they'll see me. I was. My dance moves are not quite the same though, so.
He does have some good moves, that's for sure.
He does have some good moves.
His martial arts stuff is pretty good too. That Transport
martial arts stuff,
man. Yeah, he's definitely. Oh, so Debbie liked that comment. No, he does. Justin Statham looks just a lot. See, Debbie, that's how when you talk to people, you see people just on the street. You look a lot like so and so. Never tell them that. Always say, that celebrity looks a lot like you.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like me.
So before we wrap up, just a little short here. Other than the fickle rain, which of course is something that's maybe is alien to you get more water coming off the mist from the Atlantic, the Benguela Current landing in the desert with morning dewdrops. But other than that, I mean the fickle rain. Are there other challenges? I mean, it's not something that I think affects you. I mean, Namibia a century ago had a rinderpest problem. It was a big issue when the Germans were there, and then you've got foot and mouth disease that affects cattle, and that's between Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and that really causes problems. But do you have any other real challenges with farming beyond obviously finance, weather? But I mean, is there pestilence or disease that's something you always got to watch out for?
Yeah, there's disease. Obviously, you gotta, like you said, foot and mouth and all that. Especially from the control from other countries in and out. It is challenging. Also, predators. There's a lot of predators. Tell you what, sheep has a lot of enemies. So there's a lot of things that enjoy sheep. So just to kind of, keeping the balance, I think it's probably the toughest thing, because as a farmer now, like I said, you have the responsibility to look after the animals, but you don't want to get involved in nature too much and just kind of change the whole way it's always been. So to keep that balance and not just completely wipe out something and not just go straight up kamikaze and just be ruthless on anything that gets close to your sheep is a tough thing to do, because it affects your pocket. But also it's your responsibility to kind of look after it. I mean, we've been given this responsibility to do that, and it's you gotta take it really seriously. But there's a lot of the droughts. We've got predators, and then there's disease, like you said. So and then you've got theft. Obviously, like I said, sheep's got a lot of enemies, so it's you gotta look after them well.
Well, again, I had to resist that urge to say, the Welsh, the Kiwis, and the Aussies.
No, I mean they more friends.
More friends. Okay, fair point. Yeah, there you go.
Than predators.
I should look at that in a positive way. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yikes. Listen, Jacques Burger, it's a real pleasure. We've been trying to do this for a while. You and I first chatted about this before my trip to South Africa last August, and it's been a while you get to come to fruition. I hope the viewers enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment behind, folks. Jacques, before we wrap up, anything you'd like to share? I mean, you've talked about the importance of family, importance of being a good steward of the environment and of natural life, and putting it all out there. And any final words you want to share with the audience here? The floor is yours, sir.
No, I mean, I think obviously the World Cup coming up. I think anybody watching this, please support the Namibian boys. I don't think people realize how much it means to those guys. A lot of them are amateur boys who still have an 8 till 5 job. I think most of the smaller nations will have guys who have like full-time jobs. And if you are at the World Cup and you do get opportunity to watch them, support them hard, because it's amazing opportunities for them and experiences for them. And then again, my excitement for the game and for the World Cup. I'm sure you're the same, Chris. You're very excited for this World Cup. I think if people who want to learn more about the game and want to see what the game's about, I think this World Cup will be a really special one. The French have a way of supporting and bringing a real good show to rugby. So watch the World Cup and watch the vibe and the atmosphere. Even better if you have the opportunity to go over to France and watch it. Do that, because that'll be unbelievable. Because it's a special game, and it's going to be a really, really special year.
Well, I will be in France. I'm still trying to sort out how things go. I have tickets to 8
awesome.
I have tickets to 8 matches. That's down considerably from 18 last time, but maybe I'll be able to get some. Well, yeah, but I like to hit more pool stages, so we'll see. But I'll try to get some more. But there is an alibi firer here. As an Army guy, that we say that on the range, alibi firers. So hold your fire, check fire. There is a question over here. Someone is curious about the logo on your shirt there. Is that from your farm, or is that something? What is that? There's a logo on your chest right there.
On this side.
Oh no! Well, the other one. That Nambro, we get that. What's that say? Oh, okay. It's okay.
This is just like a South African Legends.
Oh, it's a Legends. It's a Legends. Yeah. Now I've had.
Yeah, it's Legends.
Okay. It's the South African Legends.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Legends game, and this is an Nambro. This is just a local guy who's got his own brand out, and part of the money he raises, he helps protect rhino. So that's somebody I support as well.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we answered that question. People are having nice things to say, folks. I hope you had a good time getting to know Jacques Burger a little bit better. Those you knew him already, maybe you learned something as well. I certainly learned things. Jacques, bye donkey, as they say in Botswana, kia le boa.
Plaisir.
Pleasure, appreciate it.
Plaisir.
I always butcher that plaisir because I always say it with a French accent because I speak French too.
Yeah. Okay. You're a man of many talents.
well, I suppose we'll see how that goes. But anyway, Jacques Burger from Namibia, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. I'll let you drop off and I'll wrap up the stream. Thank you very much, Jacques.
Cheers, mate. Nice to meet you. Cheers, guys.
Likewise. All right, folks. Jacques Burger from Namibia. Get him up him out there. All right, he found his way out. Okay, cool beans. Thanks for tuning in. Do appreciate that, folks. A little bit of programming announcement here. First off, many thanks to Jacques. That was I think it was incredible. I really enjoyed it. My laptop I logged into and it logged into my streaming software and reset my profile, and all of my videos and all of my images and all of my text and all the little windows like Zoom, they're all set up perfect so that the stream was smooth, are all screwed up now. It loaded up something from 2 years ago. I have no idea why. I'll leave the software open for a few hours. Hopefully it will download it from the server and load the stuff back onto this profile, because now my profile is all screwed up. So you may have noticed the Zoom moving around a little bit during the stream because it doesn't match the dimensions. It's just, I'm working on that. So I had not planned on doing the news, but I see we have someone here who's curious about the news. So I will do the news probably at 8:30 South African time. I need some time to prep for it because I've been running around doing all kinds of things today. So I will schedule the news for 8:30 today, and that's a special time for the news. You can tune back in for news at 8:30 if you'd like. In South Africa, that would be, of course, 2:30 here in the East Coast of the United States. Thank you for that. So that was a real pleasure, folks. So we had Skulk Brits yesterday. We had Jacques Burger today. And, of course, on Sunday, we had Crystal Jackson talking about rugby as well. That was a lot of fun. So for those who don't know, and I can't show you this now. I had all these images in here to show the tours, and I can't run through those now because they're not here. Ugh, irritating. Anyway, so it is. Yeah, no, it's very frustrating for me, Debbie. You have no idea. We were a little bit late. Jacques was having trouble getting in. But even if he had got in on time, we might have been a few minutes late because I was trying to sort this software. I literally got in front of my studio mic 7 minutes before the broadcast time because we had an issue with the Veterans of Foreign War Posts. I had to go sort that out. That took some time. And it was supposed to be an hour, and it went for an hour and 40 minutes. And so I barely got back here in time. But anyway, folks, that's not your issue, but I just apologize for any inconvenience you might have seen on the screen. It's not the way I normally do things. So we're trying to sort this out, and hopefully we'll get it straight. Anyway, thank you all so much, and I will catch you guys here for the news in about an hour and 15 minutes if you want to tune in. If you're new to the channel, just look for the live streams. It'll be posted. If you are in the WhatsApp or Telegram groups, you should get the link from one of the moderators after I get it set up. Cool. Levin says it was worth waiting for. Well, thank you, Levin. I appreciate you guys being here. And Laudine Monday, lovely interview, and thank you from Howick. Okay, Laudine, I will be in Howick coming up on the... What is that? The 12th of August, I think it is. We have, and I can't show you the screen because it's not here. So I have to, all those images I had in here are not here now. Otherwise, I could just put up on the screen right now. So anyway, but I'll get that up. Come in for the news, and I'll have it sorted out by then, at least not to my liking, but well enough that you won't notice a difference. Anyway, folks, yeah, but I'll be in Howick at the Black Olive. I think it's the night of the 12th, and we'll be having a meet and greet, and you are welcome to attend to that, come to that, meet me, we chat, answer questions, say hello, do selfies if people want to do selfies, that sort of thing, and have a good time. So that's in Howick. We've got 6 of those meet and greets set up for South Africa on this trip. I'll be there from, by the way, so just don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm not complaining, but let me just tell you. So my lodging is taken care of all but 3 nights in South Africa until this morning when I'm greeted by a message telling that my reservation for Friday night, it's Tuesday night already in South Africa, my reservation for Friday night is canceled. The lodging facility in Cape Town has a maintenance issue, so they canceled it. But I had made a booking. It was the wrong date. I canceled that one and then made this booking. And then I got a message telling me my room on the 29th was canceled, but I wasn't staying there on the 29th. Then I got a message later saying the 28th is canceled. So I had to scramble and find another property in Cape Town that met my needs on that night that was a reasonable price. And so I wound up paying twice what I was paying for the other place, but it looks to be much nicer. So anyway, just dealing with nonsense like that, it just eats up a lot of time. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you to Jacques Burger. It was a real pleasure. Yeah, if you're aspiring to be a farmer, you want to listen to what Jacques said. Tain't easy, folks. Tain't easy. I can verify that. All right, thank you all so much. Now let me see if I've got the stuff to close this stream out. I do. It's just in a different place. This is the profile from 2 years ago. Streamlabs OBS. You're not making me happy. Actually, okay, I'm just looking to see if something's there. It is there. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.